All right, let's move on to the background settings and all of the options that are available to customize the background of your mycliq page. Go ahead and toggle on the show background settings, and you'll notice that there's a couple of options here. The very first is base color. You can go ahead and select from a predetermined palette for the kind of background color you want for your mycliq page. If you want a more specific color, you can actually type in a specific hex value, or you can go ahead and use the eyedropper tool to select a very specific color. Now, another option available is to enable a gradient background. If you toggle this on, this will take over as your base color. You can select between a linear or a radial gradient. A linear gradient is just two colors with a start point and an end point. It will blend between them seamlessly. A radial gradient starts from the center in an orb-like shape, and then it will blend to the end color on the outside. So I'm just going to stick with linear here. I'm going to choose a start color of a darker blue with an end color of white, and you can see how this gradient effect looks now. You can change it to maybe a lighter shade of blue to get something a little more consistent. You can switch to radial as well to see how that would look. You can play around and see exactly how you want to customize things. I'm going to disable the enable gradient background. Now, this is when we get into the really cool parts of mycliq and what really makes mycliq look visually different. You can go ahead and click on static background. By the time you're watching this video, there will be a lot of static backgrounds to choose from. Right now, I'll just go ahead and select one. Now, you'll notice that you can't see any of your text options, but that is configured in the appearance tab, which I will cover in another video. For now, I'm just going to quickly switch this so that it's readable. Let's hide that appearance setting. Now you'll notice that when we have a static background, you can do something called enable overlay. And the way that works is you just toggle that on, and you can do two things. The first thing you can do is you can add a bit of a blur. You'll notice that the background is now being blurred. I recommend a 4-pixel blur on pretty much all the backgrounds to make sure that your links are visible and readable. You can also use an overlay opacity, which will actually darken the image in the back for images that have a lot of bright white parts. So I'm going to actually disable that overlay. I'm going to remove the static background and show you dynamic backgrounds, which are my favorite part. You will see a select dynamic backgrounds picker, which will allow you to go through all of the dynamic backgrounds that are available. Currently, only a few are displayed, but there are well over 100 to choose from. All of these have been custom made for mycliq users, depending on if you want something that's a little more realistic, like this, for example, or you want something a little more stylized that has been created by myself. So I'll choose this cabin background. There you go. Now, those overlay settings we talked about are still available. I'll go ahead and add a bit of a background blur, and I'll actually darken the background just a little bit so that things are more readable. And you'll notice that these backgrounds are actually movable. So when people join your page, they will see the background loop. That about concludes the background settings. We'll move on to the appearance and layout settings in the next video.